What up, y'all? Back again for round two. I don't think I'm going to number all of these. I think it's just going to be the date that I do them. Today is July 13th, 2026. And the sermon that I will be reading is based on something I had written on Friday for my thought of the day. I'm just going to get right into it because it's a lot, and I'm kind of having to decompress from writing it because I tend to get impassioned whenever I start writing. So I kind of put myself in it, and I don't want to say it sent me into a funk, but it definitely hit something emotionally in me. So without further ado, Monday sermons with Father Bobbert. Today I choose to realize it's not all for me to get. I try to see everything from all sides. I make a sincere attempt to understand people's differing perspectives, and I've accepted that I'm not capable of empathizing with certain beliefs. Unfortunately, the majority of people can't look past the fact that I don't think the same way as the masses, and I've been vilified because, unlike the stereotypical view of liberals being passive, I am anything but. And I have no issues telling people exactly what I think rather than agree to disagree. And I get just as impassioned as the conservatives do when it comes to their beliefs. People tend to see the dog that bites after being kicked as the problem for some reason, as opposed to just not kicking the dog in the first place. And that's always baffled me. Respect, understanding, and accepting a differing opinion to me is for inconsequential things, i.e., you listen to country, I listen to hip hop, or somebody likes the Green Bay Packers and I'm a Cowboys fan. We can all still agree that the Raiders fans are the worst, though. Joking. Kind of. This, however, does not apply to basic human rights, and I have told people very close to me that they were wrong because of it, and it broke my heart to do so. I've lost friends and family because I have radical opinions, like everyone should be equal, no one should be subservient to anyone else, or that my son is not broken or in need of saving because he's trans. Real evil, repugnant, and dangerous thoughts like that. Today, however, I would like to specifically focus on how I respect women more than men. There, I said it. I was raised by my grandmother, and I'm sure in the course of these sermons she'll probably be a central figure in them because she's the person that had the biggest impact on me growing up, and still does almost 4 years after she passed. She was demure in a classic way. She stayed at home and raised the kids while my grandpa worked. Cooking, cleaning, and anything regarding the children was left to her. Grandpa only got involved in the discipline whenever things got out of hand, as I'm sure a lot of people can relate with, due to similar upbringings. My grandma was the one that would deal with the daily fighting, backtalk, and general shittiness that only having young children can bring. I watched her break several times. Sometimes it would be because my cousin Vic and I would fight, argue, or just be loud, obnoxious kids that wouldn't listen to her the first 10 times she told us to chill, and she would just snap and yell at us. She did threaten to drop kick both of us at the same time once, and to this day, it still may be the funniest thing I've ever heard. Sometimes it was when Grandpa would disappear for hours after work in the form of her palpable stress and constantly pacing through the house, but ultimately centralized to the front window where she could see him pull up to the house. There are so many other examples I can give, but through all of it, she never took it out on us kids. She had to physically remove herself from the house more than once, go into the garage to blow off some steam, and that's why I respect women more. Every man that was remotely close to me big dogged me at some point. They would take their anger or frustration out on me by either yelling, talking down, or becoming physically imposing and reminding me that as a child, I was inferior if they didn't just outright whoop my ass. My grandma had to raise a young boy without his father or mother in his life for any amount of quality time. Having only raised three girls before him by herself because her husband was always at work or doing something in the yard, garage, etc. Oh, and by the way, the boy was a pre-lit emotional Molotov cocktail that's liable to take it out on her because she was the only safe space he ever had. She still never made it my problem though. She would shoulder everything from everyone as if it was her personal responsibility, all while maintaining literally everything else. And I cannot think of a single time anything ever fell through the cracks and she missed something. I respect women more than men because dealing with dudes at any age is a pain in the ass at best, not to mention all the other bullshit every woman has to go through in the course of their lives, including but not limited to decisions made for them as if they were incapable left to their own devices. Let's just keep this one real simple. If you don't have the body parts you're legislating, you don't get a say on it. Just because you run a burger joint doesn't mean you can tell a sandwich shop down the block how they should run their restaurant. It doesn't really need to be this complicated. Let women decide individually and autonomously what they should do with their own bodies. Novel concept, right? Then there's my wife, a woman that went from having 0 children to 3 literally overnight. A woman that learned how to be the best mother I could ever ask for my kids after not having a great example to emulate. A woman that I've seen time and time again that tries to be the village for everyone, giving of herself until nothing is left and yet somehow still giving more. She's the easy one to blame because she's loud, opinionated, and deemed too much by many different people. To her mom, she was the golden child until she stopped being available for drama and stupidity 24/7. To my ex, she was the scapegoat for our divorce and the wicked stepmother who was seducing her husband away from her and our family. She was the scapegoat my sister used because that sounds like Nisha, not you, completely removing my ability to think for myself because you know how she is. No, I don't. Please enlighten me. She's the type of person, like me, that doesn't care for small talk or simple pleasantries. If either of us was to ask someone how they are doing, we would expect that person to answer truthfully and speak about it if something was bothering them. She, like me, does the same. We let off about actual events that happen in our lives, not that other day in paradise bullshit, because we feel that that is what you do with strangers. But with family, be it blood or chosen, you should be able to be real and vulnerable. But apparently, that makes us negative people or victims in others' eyes. Now, let me tell you who she really is. The woman that raised 3 kids as best she could with very little help from me and even less from everybody else. She's the woman that my sister and I told if the family stepped out of line in the days after my mom's death to check them because I would start smacking people if they made it about anyone but me and sis. She had to because they all started talking financial bullshit while we were all trying to pick the photos for a slideshow and deciding what her last outfit would be on this side of eternity. She has watched the man she loves struggle with his spirituality, mental health, addiction issues, infidelity, and not to mention having to help unpack all of his baggage from his family even prior to all the death. She, like my grandmother, is one of only 2 women I feel love me unconditionally, and even when they had every reason to, never gave up on me. That's a kind of love and patience I may never experience in my life. They are why I respect women more than men. Without them, we would not have a literal conduit to an other dimension that brings life into our world. Without them, we would know nothing of nurturing, emotions, or empathy. We would know nothing of magic or the old indigenous ways, because the wisdom of healing and counsel was most often passed through maternal lines. Without them, we would cease to exist. Yet as a society, we tell them how they should exist. They should look younger and skinnier. They should shave everything so they look like prepubescent Barbie dolls. They should dress modestly so as not to distract men. God help them if they don't wear a bra with normal natural breasts, because apparently the correct position for them is in their throats. Hell, I wasn't even aware of the pink tax until I was well into adulthood. Personally, I believe the lines dividing us should be done away with regarding gender, because it, like everything else, is on a spectrum. In this day and age, it's beyond antiquated and ignorant to assume that a woman is not fit to lead simply because of the genitalia they do or do not have when they've been leaders in the home for centuries. Who knows where we would be as a society if males learned empathy from women? Maybe instead of the constant chest beating, we would learn how to start a dialogue and learn how to effectively communicate with other people from other cultures instead of just bombing the hell out of each other. The human race has existed for roughly 200,000 years. The patriarchy has existed for 12,000 years because men wanted control of property and commerce, and no one takes any issue with all of this. I believe all of these radical things because I believe we're all equal. We're all multidimensional beings, piloting a rotting meat exoskeleton, pretending like all of the obedience is somehow justified because they think, look, act differently than me or are somehow inferior. I am glad. I'm glad I don't now and probably never will get it. I'm sure people are going to call me cuck, uh, the F slur that I don't like to say anymore, or some kind of brainwashed leftist feminist or something. I honestly don't know. And I frankly don't give a shit because it's not wrong for me to have the idea that women are more important than men. I say that as a man. I say that as somebody that was an alpha dude bro at one point. I believed that women should be in the home. And to a certain extent, part of me does believe that because that's how I was raised. And the only reason I survived as long as I did and developed empathy and was shown it was okay to show emotions was because of my grandmother, even though she never showed hers. The handful of times I saw her cry, one was whenever her mom passed, and I was young at that point. And the other I'll never forget because it broke my heart. It was her sister, Tedora, the day we did her service. And my kids were still young, especially my youngest. So we sat at the back of the church, and Grandma didn't think we were there. After the service, we're all waiting outside. Of course, I was the first one because we were in the back. And she just saw me and she just broke down. Like I've never seen her move that fast. She moved to me and just wrapped her arms around me and started crying. And I don't know how many times she got to do that in the course of her life. And that breaks my heart because that woman had so much love and so much care and compassion. And I don't think she ever got to let go properly in that fashion. All of these stories that I tell they're not made up, unfortunately. I don't tell them to gain sympathy. I don't tell them to, oh, look how bad I have it, whatever. I tell it because it can be relatable. We all have stories. We all have our shit or whatever. And I know my grandma did. I'm looking back at it with all of the information that I've gathered, the books that I've read and whatnot. It sounds like she was chronically depressed the majority of her adult life. Never got help for it. Never got medicated for it. Just had to white knuckle it. My wife, on the other hand, has had the ability to grow and talk about her feelings. She's sought therapy. She was the first one in our family that did therapy. She was the first one in our family to get on medication, and she has been a shining light for myself and my children. Because had she not started down that road, I probably wouldn't have, and our kids probably wouldn't have, and we would just go on continuing to perpetuate all of the ancestral bullshit that everybody's done in our family forever. And I personally am trying to break that. I've made it my life's goal to make that happen. So my challenge to everybody today, mainly for the men, look at how you treat women. And I don't say that as somebody that has always treated women well. The two women that have meant the most to me in the course of my life, my grandmother and my wife, I've treated the worst. I took out my anger on both of them over the years. And both of them just, they let me, that's it. They let me be that way. And they're the only two people that have. For guys, I'm too emotional. I'm too sensitive. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm the F slur. I'm a pussy. I'm insert stupid myopic insult. Because of my wife, I realize that I'm not too much. Even though everybody wants me to think I am. Well, the majority of people. So my challenge to you, to everybody, is to think about how you treat women. Are you perpetuating the bullshit and foisting your beliefs or somebody else's beliefs that might not even be yours onto them? Or are you letting them be their true, authentic selves? Would your grandmother be proud of how you treat your significant other or your girlfriend or whatever? Would you want somebody treating your sister the way that you treat said women? I've had to do a lot of soul searching, and I didn't like what I found. I was the asshole. I was the Neanderthal. I was the myopic, sometimes chauvinistic dude. I'm not anymore. And that was a choice I made. Please, if we can do anything with this, I'd want it to be to create actual equality, where people don't have to be a watered down version of themselves to be acceptable. They don't have to tone down their words to become more palatable. They can be authentically themselves, live their truth, whatever that truth is, and not have to be ashamed of it. And that's my wish for everybody, not just women. I hope everybody has a good week. I hope everybody tries to understand each other, tries to communicate correctly. And until next time, I'm Father Bobbert, wishing you all peace, love, and light.